All right, so today we're diving into something a little different.
Oh,
Stinging insect control.
okay.
We're going to be looking at the website of Freedom Wildlife Solutions.
Interesting.
They're a pest control company based in Clayton, North Carolina.
So, a lot of people might be thinking, why are we looking at a pest control website?
Right. But
And
there's a lot we can learn from it.
yeah.
We've got the risks that stinging insects pose, and then we can even figure out the strategies that professionals use
Yeah,
to handle them.
absolutely.
One of the first things I noticed when looking at this website is
Yeah.
how much they emphasize their credentials.
Mm.
Like they really wanted to make sure that you knew that they were licensed and insured.
Right, in that why hire us section.
Exactly.
It's a big deal.
Well, why is that such a big deal?
Well, you really want to make sure that whoever you hire,
Yeah.
especially when you're dealing with something like pest control,
Mm-hmm.
you want to make sure they're licensed and insured. So, first of all, being licensed, that means that they've met the industry standards.
Right.
So it's not like just anybody can just say, I'm a pest control expert.
Yeah. Right.
You got to get a license.
Yeah.
And then being insured is super important because
Yeah.
that means both you and the company are protected.
Right.
So let's say something crazy happens when they're doing a treatment.
Yeah.
Well, you're protected
Right.
and the company's protected.
That makes a lot of sense.
It's all about peace of mind.
Exactly.
You want that peace of mind.
Yeah. So speaking of peace of mind, let's talk about the stinging insects themselves.
Okay.
I mean, we all know they can be a nuisance,
Sure.
but this website really lays out the threat they pose.
Okay.
Like, they can be really dangerous.
Oh, yeah.
One of the things they mentioned is nesting in high-traffic areas.
Mm-hmm.
So if you've got kids or pets running around, that could be really bad.
That's a recipe for disaster.
Right.
Sure.
And then, of course, there's always that risk of allergic reactions.
Yeah, and that's something that you really don't want to mess around with.
Right.
It's interesting because a lot of people don't realize
Yeah.
that insect sting allergies
Mm-hmm.
are actually really common.
Oh, wow.
Like a good chunk of the population has some level of
Yeah.
sensitivity.
Oh, wow.
Now, for some people, it's just localized pain and swelling,
Okay.
but then you've got other people where it's really serious
Right.
and they can have something called anaphylaxis.
Anaphylaxis?
Yeah, and that's where things get really dangerous.
Right.
Like you can have difficulty breathing, your blood pressure drops,
Oh, wow.
you might even lose consciousness.
Oh, geez.
So,
Serious?
if you're experiencing any of those kinds of symptoms,
Yeah,
you got to seek medical attention immediately.
of course.
It's not something to take lightly.
No, absolutely not. So how do they actually deal with this then? How does Freedom Wildlife Solutions get rid of these stinging insects?
Right.
I mean, they have this section on their website called Comprehensive Stinging Insect Control Services.
I saw that.
And it seems like they take a really thorough approach.
Right.
Like they're not just coming in and
Hmm.
spraying everything down.
No, it looks like they actually start with
Yeah.
a really detailed property inspection.
Exactly. So they're looking for signs of activity.
Right. So they're not just glancing around.
Yeah.
They're really looking carefully.
Yeah.
They're looking for those telltale markings, the debris.
Yeah.
Maybe there's a nest around.
Exactly.
They're really paying attention.
And their technicians are specifically trained
Oh, wow.
to recognize these signs.
That's so interesting.
Yeah. So they really know what they're looking for.
That's great.
And once they do that inspection,
yeah.
they come up with a customized removal plan.
So it's not just
Yeah.
a one-size-fits-all.
Right. It's tailored to
Yeah.
your specific situation.
That's awesome.
Now, one thing that really intrigued me
Yeah.
was that they mentioned preventative treatments.
That's interesting.
So they're not just focused on
Yeah.
getting rid of the insects that are already there.
Yeah.
They're trying to prevent them from coming back.
That's so smart.
I know, right?
That's being proactive.
Exactly. So I wonder what those treatments actually involve.
Well, they probably apply some insecticides
Oh,
to
sure.
potential nesting sites
Makes sense.
and maybe seal up some entry points
Oh, right.
so they can't even get in in the first place.
That's really
But
interesting.
so that way, they're not just fighting the battle.
Right.
They're preventing the war.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And speaking of prevention,
Mm-hmm.
they also have this whole thing
Yeah.
about education on prevention.
I love that.
Yeah, so they're not just coming in,
Right.
providing a service and leaving.
Mhm.
They're trying to teach people
Yeah.
how to prevent these infestations.
They're empowering their clients with knowledge.
I know, right?
It's fantastic.
Like, for example, they probably give tips
Yeah.
on waste management.
Like making sure your garbage cans are sealed tight.
Right. No more open invitations to the WASP buffet.
Exactly. You don't want them coming to your house for a little snack.
So no open invitations for snacks.
Exactly.
What about landscaping?
Oh, landscaping is huge because,
Okay.
if you've got a lot of overgrown bushes or shrubs, it's basically like
Yeah.
you're giving them a place to live.
Right, like you're inviting them in.
Exactly. And they love those little nooks and crannies.
So what? So just trim everything back.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Keep it nice and trimmed.
Got it.
And then, one other thing.
Yeah.
If you have like a flower garden,
Mm-hmm.
flowers are beautiful,
Of course.
but they do attract
Uh,
stinging insects.
make
They're looking for that nectar.
Yeah.
So,
So look, just not have a garden.
well, you could still have a garden,
Okay.
but maybe choose some varieties
Okay.
that aren't as appealing
Got it.
to stinging insects.
Okay, so be strategic about the garden.
It's like a strategic game of keep away.
I like that.
Right. Keep away.
You don't want them there, keep them away.
Right.
But the cool thing is,
Yeah.
when we're preventing these infestations,
Mm-hmm.
we're not just helping ourselves.
Right.
We're helping the environment
For sure.
because we're minimizing
Yeah.
the use of chemicals,
Mhm.
which can harm beneficial insects,
Yeah.
and birds, and other wildlife.
It's a win-win.
It really is a win-win.
Now, speaking of chemicals,
Yeah.
I did notice
Uh-huh.
that they really emphasize their commitment
Yeah.
to eco-friendly practices.
They're proud of that.
Yeah. So what does that actually look like
Right.
in the world of pest control?
So basically, they're moving away from
These broad-spectrum pesticides.
Okay.
The ones that can harm other species, that can
Right.
pollute the environment.
Of course.
So they're moving away from that.
Okay.
And they're focusing more on integrated pest management.
Integrated pest management.
Yeah, or IPM.
IPM, okay.
It's a pretty cool approach.
Well, what is that?
Well, basically, it's a more holistic approach.
Okay.
It starts with prevention.
Okay.
So, all that landscaping stuff,
Yeah.
waste management, all of that.
Gotcha.
But it also includes monitoring.
Okay.
So keeping track of the pest populations.
Right.
And then they do very targeted treatments.
Okay.
So it's not just
That's not it.
spray and pray.
Right. It's very strategic.
Exactly. It's all about strategy.
I like that.
Minimizing the chemicals,
Makes sense.
using responsible solutions
Mhm.
that are actually effective.
That protect the environment.
It-
Now, even with the best prevention,
Yeah.
sometimes emergencies happen.
Oh, for sure.
And I did see that
Mm.
Freedom Wildlife Solutions offers
Yep.
emergency response services.
Like when you discover a giant wasp nest
Yeah, like right above your front door.
or in your attic,
That's the worst.
you're like, oh no, what do I do?
Exactly. Like, I can't deal with this right now.
Right. So they understand that
Yeah.
they're there for you
It's
when
going
you need them.
Yeah, it's like having a pest control superhero on speed dial.
I love it.
Now,
Yeah.
this is the part that kind of surprised me
Oh,
on
yeah.
their website.
Okay.
They have this very detailed list
Okay.
of all the areas they service.
Yeah.
And it's not just like a general region.
Right.
They list specific counties
Uh-huh.
and even towns.
It really break it down.
It's like a geography lesson.
Oh.
Why go into so much detail?
I think it's actually pretty clever
Okay.
what they're doing.
Yeah.
They're establishing their credibility.
Okay.
Yes. So by being so specific, they're saying, we know these areas.
Right.
We know the specific pest challenges that each community faces.
Right.
It's like,
It's almost like they're
Yeah.
saying we don't just handle wasps.
right.
We handle Johnston County wasps.
Exactly.
That's great.
They're the local experts.
It's very reassuring
That for
to
sure.
see that level of detail.
Yeah, because, they've done their homework.
Right.
They understand
Yeah.
the local environment.
It's like having a local guide in a
Yeah.
foreign country.
That's a great analogy.
Mm. So
Yeah.
I feel like we've talked a lot
Mhm.
about
Mm.
counties and towns,
Yeah.
but we're kind of missing
Oh.
a crucial piece here.
What's that?
Like, why is a particular region
Oh, that's interesting.
prone to certain types of stinging insects?
That's where the real detective work begins.
I know, right?
You got to figure out.
Like, what are the ecological factors
Yeah.
that influence this?
Absolutely.
Now, that's when things get really interesting.
I can't wait. We were talking about prevention.
Yeah.
What are some practical things we can do?
Yeah, like around our homes.
Yeah, like in our yards.
Exactly, to keep them away.
To keep those stinging insects away.
So they don't want to come and hang out with us.
Exactly.
Okay, so what should we do?
Well, they mentioned waste management.
Right, Freedom Wildlife Solutions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that's super important.
Okay, what do we got to do with our waste?
Think about it.
Okay.
What's the easiest way to attract a wasp
Oh, I don't know.
A sugary feast.
Oh, right, like those half-empty soda cans?
Exactly.
Oh, yeah, that I always forget to take out.
Or fruit peels,
Yeah.
all that sweet stuff.
Okay.
Stinging insects love it,
Gotcha.
especially wasps,
Okay.
yellow jackets.
Right.
So keep those garbage cans sealed tight.
It's like closing the door on an unwelcome guest. That's great.
No open invitations.
No more wasp buffets.
Exactly.
Okay, so sealed garbage cans.
Sealed garbage cans.
Check.
What about your yard?
Oh, yeah, I love my yard.
Yeah.
It's so lush.
Yeah, landscaping is super important because all those shrubs, all those bushes,
Yeah.
they're perfect hiding spots.
Oh, right, for nests.
They love to build their nests
Okay.
in those little hidden spots.
Makes sense.
So keep everything trimmed back.
Okay, so just a little bit of pruning
Exactly.
goes a long way.
It really does.
Okay, so trimmed bushes, sealed garbage cans, anything else?
You want to make sure you get rid of any
Yeah.
deadwood, debris.
Oh, right, like piles of leaves.
Yeah, all that stuff.
Okay.
It seems harmless,
Yeah.
but they love to build nests in there.
Really? I never would thought about that.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so get rid of the debris.
Get rid of the debris.
Okay.
Oh, and if you have a flower garden, flowers are gorgeous.
Yeah, they are.
But they also attract stinging insects.
They're looking for that nectar.
They're looking for that nectar.
So should I just not have flowers?
Well, you can still have flowers,
Okay.
but maybe choose some varieties
Yeah.
that aren't as attractive.
Okay, so do some research.
Exactly. There are options out there.
Okay, I like it.
It's all about being strategic
Yeah.
with your landscaping.
So it's like that game of keep away.
Keep away, exactly.
I like that.
Keep those stinging insects away.
Keep them away from my beautiful flowers.
Exactly.
Okay, so strategic landscaping. Got to remember that.
Strategic landscaping. And you know what's cool about all this?
Yeah.
We're not just helping ourselves.
Okay.
We're helping the environment.
In what way?
Well, because we're not using as many chemicals.
Yeah. Right.
So, those pesticides can be harmful
To other insects.
to beneficial insects.
Right.
Birds.
Other wildlife.
Yeah.
So prevention is good for everybody.
It's a win-win.
It is a win-win. I like that.
Now, Freedom Wildlife Solutions, they talk about eco-friendly practices.
They do. They really emphasize that.
Yeah, and I'm curious,
Yeah.
what does that actually look like?
Yeah, like on the ground.
Yeah, when they're actually doing pest control.
What are they doing that's so eco-friendly?
Well, they're moving away from those
Yeah.
broad-spectrum pesticides.
Right, the ones that just kill everything.
Exactly.
Good and bad bugs.
Yeah, they don't discriminate.
So what do they use then?
Well, they're probably using something called
Yeah.
integrated pest management.
Okay, I've heard of that.
Yeah, or IPM.
IPM.
It's pretty cool.
Okay, well, break it down for me.
Correct.
What is IPM?
It's basically a more holistic approach.
Okay,
It starts with prevention.
all right.
So, all that stuff we talked about.
Yeah, the landscaping.
Landscaping.
Waste management.
Exactly.
Right.
But then they also monitor.
Okay.
So they keep track of the pest populations.
So they're not just assuming that they're there.
Right.
They're actually checking.
They're checking.
Okay.
And then they do very targeted treatments.
Oh, okay.
So it's not just,
Just spraying everything.
yeah, spray and pray.
Okay, so they're very strategic.
It's all about strategy.
I like it.
Minimizing the use of chemicals.
Yeah, minimizing impact.
Exactly. It's about being responsible.
Right.
So, even with the best prevention,
Yeah.
sometimes
Things happen.
emergencies happen.
Right, you never know.
And remember that
Yeah.
emergency response service.
Oh, right.
Right, that they offer.
Yeah, like when you discover
Yeah, when there's a giant wasp nest
above your front door.
right above your front door
Yeah, that's when you need to call someone.
or in your attic.
Ugh, I can't even imagine.
It's like, oh no, what do I do?
I know.
But they understand that they're
Yeah.
there for you
They're ready to help,
when you need them.
which is great.
It really is.
So
Yeah.
I feel like we've talked a lot about these practical tips.
Yeah.
But we're still missing
Okay.
that connection to the
Yeah.
geography.
Right.
Like, why is a particular region
Oh,
prone to certain
that's a great question.
types of stinging insects?
Yeah. Why is that?
It's not just about knowing the names of places.
Right.
It's about understanding
The
the ecological factors.
why behind the where.
Exactly. Now that's when things get really interesting.
Absolutely.
Okay, so we've been talking about Freedom Wildlife Solutions service area, and they cover a pretty big part of central North Carolina.
Yeah.
But it's more than just names on a map, right?
Right.
Like, what makes this area unique
Okay.
when it comes to stinging insects?
Well, that's where the ecological factors really come in.
So what are we talking about here?
Well, think about North Carolina.
Okay.
I mean, it's got a diverse landscape.
Did
You've got the mountains. You've got the coast. So that means different climates,
okay.
different vegetation, even different human activities.
Yeah, it all plays a role.
It all affects
Right.
what kind of stinging insects.
Right. So you can't just have
Right.
a one-size-fits-all approach
Got to be tailored
to the area.
in a local environment.
Exactly.
So, for example, Freedom Wildlife Solutions,
yeah.
they're in the eastern part of the state,
Right.
which tends to be
Yeah, it's warmer.
more
More
humid,
humid.
the western mountains.
Right. And so what does that mean for stinging insects?
Well, that warm, humid climate,
Yeah.
it creates the perfect conditions
Okay,
for
right.
certain types of stinging insects, like paper wasps,
Okay.
yellow jackets.
They love it there.
Oh, yeah, they thrive.
Warm weather, plenty of moisture.
Lots of moisture.
Probably lots of food for them, too.
Yeah, all those sugary treats.
It's a wasp paradise.
It really is.
And what about the vegetation in this area?
Well, central North Carolina is known for its forests,
Okay.
lots of pine trees,
Yeah.
hardwood trees,
Right.
and that provides plenty of nesting sites.
Right. So they can just
They can just build their nests
Yeah.
right in the trees
right in their natural habitat.
or under logs.
Makes sense. So we're kind of building our homes
And we are.
in their habitat.
Yeah, we're encroaching.
And then we get mad when they're there.
And think about
Yeah.
human activities, too.
Oh, right. Like agriculture?
Agriculture, urbanization.
Yeah, of course.
I mean, agriculture that can attract certain types of stinging insects.
Right. That might prey on
Yeah.
the pests.
The crop pests.
And as we build more and
Well,
more.
we're pushing into their territory.
Right. So we're going to
Yeah.
see them more.
Exactly.
That's we're asking for trouble.
Sometimes it feels like it.
It's not just about the types of stinging insects, though.
Right.
Right.
No, it's also about the numbers.
Yeah. How many are there?
Population density.
So what affects that?
Well, things like
Yeah.
weather patterns,
Okay.
food availability.
Right. So it all kind of comes
They're just sort
together
of connected.
to create this.
This complex ecological puzzle.
It really is.
And that's what Freedom Wildlife Solutions understands.
Exactly. They're like ecological detectives.
Yeah, they are
For-
piecing together the clues.
The pest landscape.
Exactly.
But it's not just about the ecology,
Right.
right?
Right.
Like, we have to consider the human element.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, people are afraid of stinging insects.
They are. And,
Aren't they?
sometimes that fear can lead to overreactions.
Oh, for sure.
Like using too many pesticides.
Right, which can actually be harmful.
Exactly.
So that's where education comes in,
Education is key.
which is what Freedom Wildlife Solutions
They emphasize that.
emphasizes on their website.
Yeah, they do.
So it's about giving people the knowledge.
Right, so they can make informed decisions.
Exactly.
So they don't have to
Yeah.
freak out.
And just spray everything.
Right.
It's about finding the balance
Yeah.
between respecting nature
Respecting nature.
and protecting ourselves.
Absolutely.
So as we wrap up our deep dive here
Yeah.
into the world of stinging insect control,
What have we learned?
what are our big takeaways?
Well, I think the biggest takeaway is
Yeah.
it's not just about killing bugs.
Right.
It's about understanding
Yeah.
the ecology,
hmm
the human behavior,
Of course.
and how to manage it all.
Responsibly.
So it's about being informed,
Informed.
being proactive,
Yeah.
and making safe choices
Okay, for us.
and the environment.
And the environment.
And sometimes, it's about calling the experts,
Right. Sometimes you need.
like Freedom Wildlife Solutions. Those ecological detectives
Exactly.
to help you out.
Because they know.
They know what they're doing.
They've got the knowledge.
They've got the experience.
They've got the experience.
So to wrap up,
Yeah.
knowledge is power.
Knowledge is power.
And with a little bit of understanding,
Yeah.
we can all coexist
Right. Coexist.
with these creatures
Absolutely.
without letting fear control us.
That's a great way to put it.
So until next time,
Mm-hmm.
stay curious,
Stay curious.
stay informed,
And stay sting free.
and stay sting-free.